So this is the MrCool mini split ceiling cartridge installation, and the way my roof is, I don't have roof trusses, so they're not engineered roof trusses. You know, it's a stick-built roof structure. The ceiling rafters are not structural to the roof assembly. You know, they're not used as like collar ties or anything like that. So literally they just hold the ceiling up. So because of the span of the bedroom, it's 15 feet from wall to wall. These actually are longer because I have a sunroom on the other side. So there's a wall there, and there's a wall at the beginning down there, and then at 15 feet there's a wall, and then they go another 10 or 15 feet out. But what I ended up doing, I had to cut one of the rafters out because they're 12 inches on center, and you need a 16-inch space. So I cut it, and this is all for the based on the instructions. It's a lot farther than what I think it really has to be, but it's not going to be a big deal. I'm going to end up putting, obviously I got to go back in here with another ceiling joist that's 16 inches on center in this opening. But the plan right now is to stop for the night, and what I'll end up doing is I'll cut my opening in the ceiling and then drop the joist in and attach it. So I'll cut the joist and get it all set to where it's ready to go in, but I'll use this opening, the larger opening here, to cut the ceiling for that cartridge to go into the ceiling. And the reason there is you need to cut more of the sheetrock away than what's in between the rafters, if that makes sense. So I'll end up cutting the opening and then dropping in this other joist and fasten it all up, and I'll be ready to go in with that first cartridge. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Stay tuned. So in the package they give you a template for laying out where you need to cut on the ceiling, and I just found the center, and I actually marked it from in the attic, and then marked it up here, scored it with a knife, and I'm going to cut that opening out. And once I have the opening cut, I'll put in my cross bracing that I need in the attic, since I cut out that one rafter. And this allows me to get the opening cut to the perfect size. 16 inches on center, and the rough opening is about 17 inches across. So the next one I do is going to be a little more difficult because you won't be able to cut through the sheetrock. You'll have to score it and break it and clean it up, because there'll be a ceiling joist in the way of cutting all the way through. So that's where I'm at for now, and I'm going to add to this video later. Okay, boxed in. Basically what I did, since this was 12 inches on center and needs to be 16, so I cut out one rafter, as you can see down there, blocked it off. That allowed me to cut my opening to the exact size I needed, so that when I sistered in that far 2x8, it gives me the right reveal down below. And so I cut the hole, put in that far 2x8, and then this other one, locked it in place. There's enough space on either end to connect the cabling and the refrigerant lines without any issue of, you know, trying to bend them at some weird angle. I got plenty of space to come in and do that. So this is all blocked. The opening is cut. The next step is going to be to install the cartridge and lag it into place. So I'll show you below. Give you a shot from the actual bedroom up. So this is that opening from inside the bedroom looking up. It's kind of weird, you know, the way they have you do this. The opening that you cut needs to be basically 17 inches wide, which leaves you just a quarter of an inch of sheetrock on either side of the rafter. So that's kind of hard to cut. That's why I cut the opening before I put them in. But when I get ready to do the bathroom, I'm gonna have to make the mess and cut that like this. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, you know, you can see cutting the opening between the rafters would not be that difficult, but that little inch on either side is, you know, not going to be easy to cut and make a clean cut. Plus, there's most likely I'll end up running into nails or screws that are, you know, holding the sheetrock up that I have to deal with as well. So I'm guessing I'm going to make quite the mess on the second part. But that's the bedroom. That opening is cut. Everything is set up. I just need to hang the cartridge in there, and I need help, and my son's not back from work yet, so that'll be later today. I'll do more videos once I get this figured out. So it's the next day, back at it. This is the bathroom, and I'm putting a 9K cartridge in here. It's a rather large bathroom. It's about 300 square feet with everything included. So this one is a little different because the rafters are already 16 inches on center. So I don't need to box anything in or do a lot of work in the attic. What I did is I went up and I cleared away the insulation and the old cardboard from the unit I did yesterday. I cut it so it would drop down between the rafters, and that way I could kind of see how it was going to fit. The issue I have is this is a very low sloped roof, so I can't really get back into the center of this room. I can't fit, physically fit in there. So I went back as far as I could and laid that down, and I drilled holes in the corners through the sheetrock, and I don't know if you can see it, there's one of the holes. And what I basically did is I marked out on the new template what the spacing between the studs would be, lined up the marks with the holes that I drilled, and then I used just short sheetrock screws and tacked it to the ceiling so that I can mark out where I need to cut this opening. Again, I think this one's going to make a lot more mess because I can't just cut straight through. The way that they have you cut this, it's not on the opposite side of the rafter. You have to actually cut your sheetrock, and the rafter is behind it. So it'll be a little bit more difficult to cut out. But that's basically where this one's going to go. Once I have these two units installed, I'll work on the lines and the electrical. I already have the outdoor unit on the pad and mounted, and so it'll be just get this one in and then the lines and the electrical, and I should be able to fire it up and see how we do. So I've got the line sets connected, and I did the leak check, soapy water. A couple of things I will say. The manual tells you that the size of these connectors are SAE, American Standard. They are not. They are metric. So if you have a standard set of crow's feet for your torque wrench, like that, the 1 inch fits loose on the small line, and the 1 inch will not fit on the larger line. So measured it off. It's actually, the small one is a 24 and the larger one is a 26. So you really need, if you're going to be using a torque wrench, you either need a metric set of crow's feet, or you need a adjustable spanner for the type of wrench you're using. Another thing of note, so just little torque wrench stuff. If you're using a crow's foot and you're doing it off the end like this, you need to adjust for the length of the crow's foot. So it alters the torque on the torque wrench. If you don't know, read up on it. The other method you can do is turn it to 90 degrees to the head, and then you don't have to do any calculations. You can set the torque wrench where you want it. On this one, what I found was that you got a bottom low range and then a high range. I did the math on it. It just kind of worked out that if you set the torque wrench to the low range and you have it extended straight out, it'll basically torque it to the high end. So just an FYI, if you're using torque wrenches and you want to know more, read up on it. Like I say, the line set was easy to connect. Just make sure your copper lines are angled straight into the connector so you're not binding it when you put it in. I hand tightened them all the way down as far as I could with just by hand. That kind of makes sure that you're not off at a weird angle. And then I put the wrench on them to final tighten them and torque it down. And the other thing I found, this piece of styrofoam is the bottom of where your cartridge comes in. It's where what it sets in for packing, but it just so happens it fits perfectly over the top of it and seals down on top of these perfectly. And so what I'm going to do is cut a piece of insulating foam to go between the studs on either end, seal it all up, pop this on top of it, set this on top, and then put the insulation that I've pushed away from everything, move it back on top of it. That way I don't have, if I do have to work on it, open up a panel, I don't have, fluffy insulation falling down on me. And it should insulate it well. Anyway, that's kind of the plan. This cartridge is in. The one back there is the master bath. Like I say, it's a really tight fit. So that's what I ended up with for it. This one was easy to work around, but I just had to, you know, cut the rafter and box it back in. But the line sets are run from up here. All that's done. So now the rest of it is going to be pretty much outside, except for the cleanup. I'll need to make a couple of points where I secure the lines so they can't get pulled or anything. But that's it for up here for now. So my apologies, I haven't done a lot of videos on this. I'm working by myself and I'm in and out of the attic, so it's been quite time consuming actually, more so than I expected. But in general, the cartridges are both installed, both wired. I tested everything, ran it last night with no issues at all. It is super quiet, both the indoor air handler and the outdoor unit. Way quieter than my carrier system, you know, that's 15 years old. But the lines, I have them wrapped up and done up like they're supposed to be. All of that's in there. My drain line, I got a little wonky with it there. I cut it a little short, had to fix it. But I basically have that drain line coming up higher. I got to put a block in here to kind of level out the pipe. And then it goes, and I got a single drain going out. And on the other end of that drain line, hard to see, but I got a cap because I'm going to put another unit over there. And that's in my sunroom. So I'm going to put another cartridge over there. But I wanted to get the one in the bedroom and the one in the master bath all done. I checked them out on heat last night, and it was around, I don't know, 40 degrees outside, maybe a little below that, and I was getting air at almost 100 degrees out of the unit. So really happy with the function of the heat pump. I've had heat pumps before that, you know, it's 50 degrees outside, and inside you check your air temp, and the air temp is like 69 or 70 degrees. And I was worried that these wouldn't pump out the heat, but they do. I say it was pretty cold last night for us, for North Carolina, and 100-degree air coming out of them was pretty good. But anyway, that's what's going on inside. What I'm gonna do, I got the 2-inch foam board. I'm gonna cut it so that it fits into the empty spaces on either end, so that I can put the insulation back without, I'll kind of explain it. There's a door right down there. Let's see if I can get the light to where you can see without blinding you. So there's a door right down here that when you open it, it gives you access to the lines and all of that, so you could theoretically install them from down below. I pity the guy that has to do that. It's so much easier up here in the attic. But I have blown in insulation, so if I just throw it all back in this, if you ever happen to open that door, it's just going to dump all the insulation on the floor. So I'm going to cut the foam board up so that I can block everything off and put the insulation back. And the other thing I'm going to do, let me get around here. So this is when they ship the cartridge, this is the bottom piece that the cartridge sets in when it's shipped to you. Well, it's recessed so that the cartridge fits down in it snug. So that is the bottom that sets in that. So basically this was setting in the bottom of this. I'm going to flip this over once I have the insulation kind of back around it. Flip this over and set it down. And it just so happens that when this thing is sitting down on top of that unit, my rafters are 2x8, and it fits perfectly down on top of the unit and on top of the 2x8. So when I block it in with the 2-inch foam board over here, and this sets down, it basically encapsulates that cartridge. So that's what I'm going to do with all three of them. Well, that one over there I'm not too worried about. I don't, the sunroom, it's all windows, and it doesn't have insulation, so I'm not going to worry about the sunroom. But for the master bedroom and master bath, I'm going to seal it up like this. But that's kind of where I'm at. When I get around outside, I'll show you the outside. But like I said, units run great, and they're super, super quiet. And I have solar, so I can see what the power consumption is. And for the size of the unit, it's a 27K unit. It's drawing very little power in the heating mode, so I'm happy. Anyway, that's all for now. When I'm back outside, I will try to get a video of that. And I say, sorry I haven't been doing videos of this, and sorry that the lighting and everything is, I'm not a videographer. Anyway, more later. Okay, so this is really tight in here, but you can see I got the bottom styrofoam on top of it, and down in there you can see how I blocked off that opening so that I can put the blown in insulation down and around it. If you had the inkling to do this, bad insulation, you would be able to form it around everything and keep junk from falling down if you open up the door. But for me, that's kind of the way I did it. The drain line, you can see, comes out. I'm bringing it up at an angle so that I can get it on the back side of the next one, because they're kind of in line. But the idea was that when it would pump water out and up and over the hump, it wouldn't accidentally drain back down into it. So that's how I did that. So now I just got to get all the insulation back where it belongs, and then I'll take a video of the outside. Okay, so we're outside now. It's a 27K unit, so it's fairly large. I have two line sets, one for the bedroom, one for the master bath. And kind of the only thing I did probably different than what the instructions tell you to is the line set on the left hand. I ran the line set in both of the power cables that go to the cartridge, and that left me plenty of space on the other side to run the 3/4 inch drain line out of the attic and down. Some things that I would do differently, and I poured my concrete pad first, which obviously that is the right way to do that. But even though I kind of had a good idea of where I wanted the line set to run, I ended up putting the unit here first, and so that I could make sure that the line set was going to run where I wanted it. Which, I mean, if you look at my wall, between the vent and the window, there wasn't a lot of choices on where I was going to run it. So I should have been like, okay, yeah, I know where it's got to go. And I could have put the covers and ran all the lines and everything before I set the unit down on the pad, and it would have given me a little bit more space to work without having to worry about working around it. Let me see. Other issues. The only thing, and this is my bad, you see that one foot doesn't have a fastener, but if you look back there, there it is. I marked them. I set the unit, squared it all up, marked them, and don't know how I drilled it off. So that it only has 3 bolts locking it down. But we don't have high winds, we don't have snow and ice, we don't have anything that's going to move it unless somebody runs into it. And that somebody would be me, so I think I'm safe. The only other detail, I mean, the instructions are really good. They're very detailed. There's a lot of notes and warnings and everything you got to read. So probably the only thing I would say about the whole installation was the line set fittings. You know, the size of these, the manual tells you that it's like, oh well, this size is a 3/4 inch, this size is a 1 inch, and it's a lie. They're metric. they're not American standard. So if you're using if you're going to use a torque wrench and you have crow's foot and you got SAE crow's foot, you're going to need metric to be able to put those on. One of them was a 24 and the other was a 26. So that was the only oddball thing where the manual did not match up to the reality. I have a knockout here. I am going to use it. I got one more cartridge to install, and it's going to go in this sunroom, and I'll bring down that line set on this side of that vent. That's the plan for that one. For up there at the top, I have, because the bottom piece here is cut kind of short, I have 2 sections left over of this line set cover, and my plan is to notch it and slide it all the way up into the soffit, and then probably use like a PVC glue and glue it to the other piece so that it covers up the line set and makes a nice clean install. I may have to wait till spring. It's cold. I'd really like to try to get that done when it's a little bit warmer. If I have a warm day, I might get out here and go ahead and knock that out so that that's covered and sealed up. And I guess the other last thing, I still need to finish up the insulation on the line sets and wrap them, finish the wrap on the outside. I dropped my drain line down there. I'm not sure if I'm just going to let it drain to the ground or if I'm going to try to run it back over to that for downspout drain, and that drain takes it all the way out back behind the property. Haven't decided yet on how I'm going to take care of that, but like I said, I ran it last night, super quiet, and in heating mode, I'm getting 100-degree air out of this thing. So I'm happy. I don't know how well it would work if I was farther north and it was really, really, really cold outside, but we normally get down like maybe 20, 14. That's usually the lowest temps we see, and they're very short-lived. So it was able to heat the room up in like 15 minutes. And because I have the solar, I'm able to see the power draw, and it's like 2,000 watts with both the bathroom and the bedroom running. So not bad at all. So far I'm happy. It took me a lot longer to do the install than I thought, mainly because it's wintertime, and by the time I get off work I got about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours of daylight. So that kind of slowed me down. Plus, just in and out of the attic. Man, this would be so much easier if you had someone to hand you stuff. But anyway, it's done. Let me I'll pause this and I'll show you the cartridges on the inside. It's really a smooth installation on the inside. So on the inside, it fits relatively smoothly to the ceiling, which is kind of what I wanted. I didn't want something mounted on the wall and looking like it was an add-on. This fits very nicely into the ceiling. This is, like I say, this is the master, and I got it just 20-25 inches off the wall. And then you come in to the master bath, and it fits really well. Like I say, real happy. And when these things are running, you have to put your hand up there to feel the air to even know that it's on. It's so quiet. It's amazing. So that's the inside. I showed you the outside. I showed you the attic, even though it's kind of dark up there and crowded and kind of hard to see stuff. My apologies. I'm not setting up all kinds of lighting in the attic just to show you a video. If you have questions that I might be able to answer, I will try my best. But I can say the instructions, if you follow the instructions and do what the instructions say, the installation goes really well. And like I said, the only thing I found off was the line set fittings, the wrench size in the book and what's reality don't match. Everything else matches up exactly like the instructions say. So that's it. I doubt I'm going to do any more on this. Like I said, I still have one more cartridge to install, but it's the same as these two, so I doubt I'll do any video on it. So thanks for watching. Take care.